Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Ashley and today I have 6 adult science fiction books to recommend to you. First up, we have Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. Sorry if I mispronounced that. This is about Clara, who is an artificial friend, so she's like a robot friend. But she is an older model, so she is hoping that she will be picked one day to be the friend of a child. And she is one day. And it's about her learning about society, about what it takes to be an artificial friend, and how things in society aren't necessarily what they seem to be. And Clara becomes more and more aware as the book goes on. I had to read this for an experimental fiction class that I took in school, and at first I was like, not really my type of thing, but I absolutely love this. It was so surprising how much I enjoyed this so much. Clara was just such an easy and like interesting viewpoint to read from. Like, I usually don't read from anything that's not human. So seeing her become aware and learning what's wrong with the world was really interested and kind of made me think about what's wrong in the world that I might not be seeing. So I do highly recommend this. It's so good. I believe this actually won awards. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But it's a great book and I highly recommend it. Next up, we have one of my favorite sci-fi books ever, Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. And this really focuses on 2 points of view, which are Jim Holden and Detective Miller. Jim Holden is an XO on a scavenging ship, and they come across an abandoned ship, and in that ship they discover a secret that could really affect humanity and kind of bring humanity down, honestly. And so him and his crew are trying to figure out what to do with this new information while also being hunted for this information. And Detective Miller is looking for the daughter of a very wealthy man, and she went missing and there's no trace of her, and her disappearance is connected to the secret that was found on the ship. And this book was just so good. It's on, like, there's a lot of hype surrounding this. It's also a TV show now, and I've watched a few episodes, and so far it's very accurate to the book. This book, I love it. It was just, it's big. I read this so quickly. I never thought I would read an adult sci-fi this quickly. I love the characters. I loved seeing their paths cross, and I love how each book, I've read the first 2 so far, each book kind of has its own mystery within the entire plot that is going across the entire series. So there is one mystery in here and it will get solved, but there's still that overarching plot that you still don't really know about. Same thing with the second book. And I just loved seeing the different governments across different planets and seeing how they interact with each other, and it was just a really fun sci-fi adventure. Next, we have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I'm sorry, I am completely mispronouncing your name. I'm really sorry. So this is basically lesbian necromancers in space. Quickest way to summarize it. So this follows Gideon and Harrow. Gideon is kind of a badass. She's a badass. I love Gideon. So, and then Harrow is the daughter of the 9th house and bone witch extraordinaire. And so they're invited to this one planet, and they have to go through a deadly trial of wits and skill. And this book is really hard to explain because it's so quirky and odd, but it's also amazing. Like, I don't know a good way to explain this. Seriously, the best way I can. It's lesbian necromancers in space. I love this book. I love how quirky it is. I love the cover. I just think it's so cool. And this book you have to like read this one really slowly, because if you read it too fast, you will get confused and not know what's going on. But that's actually part of the charm. It's fun trying to figure out what the hell is happening and seeing all the necromancy and the science and the magic and all that woven together and mixed together. I love the blend of it. It's a really fun read. The characters are really entertaining. It kind of rips your heart out a little bit, but in a good way. So I highly recommend it. Next, this one is a very well-known one, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This was made into a movie. I have my issues with the movie because they made all the references 90s instead of 80s. I like when they stay true to the books, but anyway, this is about Wade, and he lives in the future, and there is a virtual reality that everyone basically spends all their time in. And the guy who created that virtual reality left clues in the game and said whoever can solve them and get to the end, they will then get ownership of, what is it called? It's called the Oasis. Yeah, Oasis. They'll become the new owners of Oasis. So Wade, no one has been able to find the first clue. No one's been able to get past the first clue. Nothing. Wade is the first one to be able to do so. And that puts a target on his back. This book was so much fun to read. I want to reread it soon. I love all the video game references, the 80s references. I'm a 90s baby, but I still understood all the 80s references, and anything that I didn't understand, I just looked up. It was just so much fun. I like the idea of everything being in a virtual reality. I think that's really cool. And I like all the puzzles that they have to go through, because when I was reading this, I'm like, I want to try to solve this puzzle too. And I tried to figure out what they would have to do before they actually did it. I was always wrong. I would never be the person to win the Oasis. I'm just going to say that now. But it was a fun and adventure-filled read, and he makes some great friends along the way, and I love seeing those relationships blossom and turn into great friendships. Highly recommend it. Next up, we have Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel, and this book is really cool because it's told with interviews and everything. It's one of those mixed media type books. So this is about Rose, who when she was a little girl, she fell into the earth, and when a farmer came to save her, he saw that she was in the palm of a giant metal hand. And it became one of the biggest mysteries of the entire world, where this hand came from, what it means, whose is it, everything. So Rose grows up, and she ends up being part of the team that is studying this hand and trying to unlock all of its secrets. And they're trying to get all the pieces of the puzzle to land in place, and when they do, they realize it can either bring peace to humanity or it can be a weapon of mass destruction. This was a really fun read. I haven't read the rest of the series yet, but I want to get them in hardback because the hardback's just beautiful. I just hit myself in the eye with that. Good going, Ashley. It's a really cool read. I liked the technical parts of it. I liked reading and finding out what's happening through journal entries and interviews and data entries. I thought that was really cool and a unique way to do it. It reminded me of the Lumine Files by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I loved how they did it too. So by the way, if anyone has any more recommendations of books that are told in this sort of mixed media way, let me know because I want to read more of them. This was just so much fun. I highly recommend it. I feel like this was really popular for a little bit and then kind of fell through the cracks, and I think it should make a comeback. And the last book I have to recommend to you guys is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is another really popular one. This is about Darrow, who is a Red, and the Reds are basically kind of like slaves. They're just meant to work, and they're abused by the higher-ups, and the ones ruling over this world are the Golds. Golds are basically like superhumans, and they are stronger, faster, smarter, everything. So Darrow's wife is killed because she starts to rebel, and he himself tries to kill himself so he can join her, but he ends up surviving and undergoes a painful and long transition to become a Gold. And he goes undercover to try to undermine the Gold reign, and they want to take the government back for the people and make everyone equal. This is such a fun sci-fi story, and it's also it's sad and it's real, and I loved every single second of this entire trilogy. I've read some of the books, and I've also listened to some of the books on audio. The audiobooks are actually really great. Your heart breaks for Darrow because what he has to go through, and you're also like kind of proud of him because of how much he's gone through, and he still is fighting and refuses to give up. It's more found family and also his own family, and it's just such a fun adventure. Each book got better and better. The last book blew my mind. I've only read the original trilogy. I know Pierce Brown continued on with the series. I haven't read those books yet. I have to pick those up. But this is a fun sci-fi, and it is a great adventure, and I highly recommend it. So there are 6 adult sci-fi books that I highly recommend. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and come back for more. Bye, everyone.